That's nice.
This is a little present from the museum. The outside is made in Bangladesh. The inside is made in Switzerland. And we'll discover why.
So this is it. So this is collaboration.
Absolutely.
Okay, get it. So thank you, and thank you for the introduction. And I'm very happy to be here. I'd like to thank the museum, Swiss Architectural Museum, Nicholas, for really pushing this, putting the whole thing together and pushing us forward to, integrating friendship in this, and Andrea, Vivian, and your team. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today. For those of you who have not been to Bangladesh, I think it's difficult to imagine the level of unpredictability in the geographical and socioeconomic scenario of Bangladesh. And within that, whatever we have, the context, it is the ability of coming up with projects, the innovations, and moving ahead with the in spite of all the difficulties, I think, which makes Bangladesh quite unique. So let me take you to Bangladesh a little bit, and the areas that we work in. And so imagine yourself in a little island. Some of you have visited us, 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. In those islands, there are a family living of 200 to 500 families living. The river can be between 2 kilometers to 30 kilometers broad. The water, the spate of the water could be 10 knots to 14 knots during the rainy season. And we are built of soil. There are no rocks in Bangladesh. So you can, and in a country which is 1/4 the size of France, 4 times the size of Switzerland, 165 million people living there. And 62% of the land goes underwater, 6 months to 8 months a year. So you can understand the challenges that we face daily. And within that, the resilience, the dignity, and the smiles of the people is, I think, what motivates many of us to work with Bangladesh and in Bangladesh. So in this island, there are no shops, no electricity, no schools, no health centers. They often don't have a boat to take them across. Islands are made of sand, and this is where Friendship started its work in 2002. The theme of the conference today, the poor cannot afford poor solutions, is something which I have repeatedly said, because I found that in this context, the more difficult the context, the less the people have as services, the better the quality of the product you have to give to them if you want to make it deeply sustainable. Huge masses of awareness of health. You have 2,000 people, you speak about the goodness of healthcare, and you spend heaps amount of money, and you cure 2. The impact of that cure carries much longer than discussion among 2,000 people. And then that impact can be given when you are really doing work of good quality. Good quality product is beyond architectural work integration with an NGO. Good quality product is in the mindset of trying to say or trying to think that that they are poor and they really need good services. It's not they are poor and they can let us give them everything, which is very often the mindset of development work, today. Because I find that in 2002, when I started the work, I found that it was much of the work was coming on in giving, but not giving in depth, but giving in quality. So I started thinking that we needed to make impact. We needed to perform miracles for these people to actually believe that the work you're giving to them is going to be sustainable, and the work you give to them will be long-term, and they believe in it, and they change their behavior in trying to reach services which were beyond given only by friendship. So when you go to these such places, which is really at the bottom of the rung, ultra poor, socioeconomic bracket, the most is absolutely at the bottom, the most climate impacted regions of the planet, I found that there, if you go and ask the people what they need, even they don't know what they need. They just know the difficulties they're facing. So I started friendship with the first mobile floating hospital in Bangladesh. So it was an old river barge from Europe, from France actually, and we converted this into a floating hospital. I was neither a person from an NGO, I didn't even know what that meant, nor had I ever seen the inside of a hospital actually, just the outdoor. And when I told people that I wanted to make a hospital, they thought I was totally crazy. They thought it's not possible. And I remember hearing that, Runa, you have so many organizations doing so much work. What do you think? Do you think you're ever going to be successful with this? But you see, this is where I think the difference came. I didn't have a project in mind when I started. I had the people and the needs of the people, and that broke my heart. And I knew that I was in a position to do something, and and that realization led to the responsibility that I had to do something. Hence, this floating hospital came in an area where even the government ferries would stop in the evening for fear of dacoits and robbers, and it was, because you couldn't have the police coming in. It was absolutely like a wild territory. Doctors didn't want to come without a gun. And I said, if you come with a gun, the people are going to attack you with a gun, and they'll shoot you before you shoot them, and tell Trump that, But he doesn't quite take that. But so, and over the last 15 years, it is because of the quality of the output we gave. And I can say this confidently today. 10 years ago, I was saying, I hope it is because of the quality that we are giving. But today, I can confidently say it's because of the quality of output that we gave. That we've never had a security guard on these boats or any of our projects, and no one with a gun, and no one has ever attacked, or anything has been stolen from these ships. So quality products are extremely important to give to the poor. It's only when they see quality, they see the difference between actual happenings and their needs. So we started with the hospitals. So a hospital was not enough. We started looking at, so there was this hospital, and one day I find that a child had died in an island opposite, and so I rushed over. Why couldn't the child come to the hospital? And the child had died of diarrhea. In today's world, and I realized that the mother didn't know that salt and sugar could have saved the life. The mother didn't have 0.5 euro cent to take a boat and come to the hospital, which she could see in front of her eyes. So you can understand, the emotions that we all underwent. It was like, it really, I think, broke the heart not only of mine, but our medical staff. And we started what we call the satellite clinics. So mobile teams which would go from places to places, giving prevention, awareness, treating mothers, pregnant women, EPI for the children, immunization for the children, and we started rolling that. So that is the second tier of the Friendship Healthcare Program. Then we started training the people on the ground, because even that was not enough. So today, because one day I went and I found a child totally burnt, crying and crying and crying. What happened? Totally burnt. The child didn't even have the mother didn't even have an egg or Bernol or paracetamol to ease the pain. So 3 days the child was crying. Okay, you need to ensure that in the island, services were available. So we started the Friendship Community Medic Aids. To improve the quality, we started an M-Health model, which is actually quite unique, and I hope that we can launch it internationally this year. So, it is not only trying to have international solution or solutions of good quality, but we found unless You listened to the people, found out their needs deeply, not have a solution beforehand and going to the people and giving it, but understanding how that need fitted in. People say friendship is very innovative. Innovative for the sake of innovation for the sake of innovation actually means nothing. I mean, what does it mean? You have an innovation, okay, fine. What is the impact of that innovation? How many people are going to be helped? And what is the depth of that help? Is it your satisfaction or the actual reality that you are giving to the people, that their impact is happening? So, okay, we are innovative, but I think it's beyond innovation. I think it's soft qualities like compassion, empathy, listening to people, understanding, giving the right solution at the right time, in the right amount, in the right way. I think that brings in quality. So in these areas, we had no schools. No, these areas, before the schools. So we start the work, and then storms come in, because these are the most climate-impacted areas in the world. You have to give services. So the first year, we just gave relief. And that was like, okay. And after relief, what happens? Okay, we stepped back. This is not going to work. This is not impact. I mean, this is impactful because you save lives, but you need to do a lot more than that. So we started a 3-step of relief and disaster preparedness. So disaster preparedness, risk management, identifying even in villages where the pregnant women are or where the people who have some physical disability, where they are living, who is going to rescue them. So from all that to relief, moving on to giving water, sanitation, housing. And many things had to be done, again, not in the norms. You needed to put in tube wells, very often without a cemented platform, simply because the storms are going to come, land will start breaking. These people, one tube well means a lot to them. They have to be able to pick up that tube well and run when the land starts breaking. So you need to kind of put it in a way where they can move it easily. So all these kind of things needed to be, we had to keep doing. And then they needed to earn income. We found a new kind of a system which was access to finance, but in a different way, which was more integrated with the people. For example, we do a concept which is risk sharing. So we share the risk. We don't start taking money right from the start like microfinance does. So when they sell the products, we get the money, insurance and saving schemes. And that kind of, is snowballing. And when we went into these villages and you ask people, what is it that they want for the future? Every single person wanted hope. And what was that hope? The hope was that their kids would be educated. So really, you don't have to spend millions of dollars trying to reach education or make awareness of education. But actually, people want their children to study. Little things like you need to have awareness because the parents want the children to work. Instead of saying, why do they want the children to work? Children are not supposed to work. We have to understand that this is a family of 2 or 3 or 4 people, and they need to eat. And every pair of hand is very important for them. So instead of saying, why do they need it? We went the other way, that yes, they do need it. What can we do about education so it can be changed so that the parents also get the children for helping them and the children study? So we contracted the whole 6 hours lesson into 2.5 hours of schoolwork. Our schools are 2.5 hours in the morning. And we have the best results in the country of all the NGOs. And if there are 10 merit-based scholarship, out of which 6 to 7 are friendship children from these islands. Teachers are all below high school. We never take teachers who have passed their school, because we manage them because the teachers will not stay there. And the whole purpose of making teachers in the community will be purposeless. So we take teachers who are all below high school, and we have to have architectural solutions of finding structures which can be dismantled in 2.5 hours and moved when the island breaks. And yet give that quality. So every step that you take, every step that we had to take in friendship, we needed to deeply understand that it was, at the end, we needed to give people substance, quality in the work that we give to them. When we had given them access of health, education, relief work, access to finance, we needed to then link them up with the government. And so we started our inclusive citizenship program, where we try to make them understand where they stand in their ecosystem of the political ecosystem, the socioeconomic ecosystem of that country. And here we take citizens who are exclusive, they're not part of the mainstream of the government, and we have a whole project built around these groups of women and men who are then educated in, well, I would not say educated, but then they are made aware of where they stand. For example, parliament, the laws of the country, who makes the laws, how can they, they elect members in the villages, they are government bodies, what are their responsibilities? If the police come and ask them for their cow, are they supposed to give them the cow? Or, if they have a land problem, child marriages, huge issue, which is linked to health, cervical cancer, and ostracized women in the community. So we had to deal with that, and through dramas, through theaters, through just having awareness campaigns, and in actually teaching them where they stand in that whole socio-economic political system in the country. We have paralegal aides who have revived the justice system in the villages, and they're interlinked then now with the government bodies. And at the end, we also do, to bring identity and dignity to the people, we also have the Cultural Preservation Project, the boat building of Bangladesh. I'll tell you about that later. Before that, just a short view of friendship and the overview. It's 8 minutes, just a little short film with some presentations. to tell you a bit about the last part, architectural integration that we've done, I remember when we were speaking for the center, the Friendship Center which won the Runa Khan Award, I remember telling Kashif that actually we have such a small budget, I really don't know what to do with this, and I need to ensure that the people, when they come for training, the poor, from these areas, that they don't feel alienated and go back not remembering what they have learned because the structure is so alien for them. So I need a kind of a center which is local, which is theirs, which is something they see every day. And each of the bricks for the center was handpicked from the local brick factory. And I wanted it like a monastery and within that budget. So the architect had a real challenge and we really, really fought a lot over everything and we came up with the center. It was really an amazing experience, I think, for both of us. The plinths. I remember flying over the rivers and seeing the way that the land was being broken and reconstructed. Plinths in Bangladesh are usually made in a square formation. And I had another friend with me, he was from Belgium, and a photographer, and we were discussing that this is not going to work, with a river coming at, in spate, coming at 10 kilometers, 12 knots or 14 knots, you're not going to have a square formation being there for long. So why don't we have a kind of an oval, egg shape, very strong? And then we said, yeah, maybe that would work. And we took it to Kashif, and then he fixed that up, And subsequently, I think the relationship, even in the Rohingya camps, I remember, in the camps when I don't know if I think most of you know what's happening with the Rohingyas. And it was incredibly difficult for us as citizens in that country. Europe has had 300,000 refugees in a year, and then a country like Bangladesh having like 300,000 in 1 month. I mean, it was a bit, 3 months actually, it was quite difficult. And people were doing their best, everybody was just doing what they could. And within that, there were certain things that we didn't want to compromise on, and here comes, the element of quality. I didn't want to use plastic because the place where they were staying was the green belt of Bangladesh. And the green belt of Bangladesh, in a little country like Bangladesh, which hardly has a green belt, in a sense, preserved forests, there were kilometers which were like totally wiped off and people were living there. And I didn't want to use plastics, and they were using plastics for all the toilets. And I remember saying absolutely no to donors who wanted to give me money for plastic toilets. And we wanted to give something which was dignified, people would feel good about. And plastic would harm the environment because you've totally killed the ecosystem in that, tree plantation for 10 years if you use plastics. And we started using tin. And I called Kashif, I said, design something for us which is going to work. And he did these marvelous little toilets, and now people have started using tins also. So I'm very happy about that. It was a little bit more than just the eco feeling why we needed to work with the ultra poor and the refugees the way that we did. The quality of the work I felt was very important because these were totally homeless people who had come in having nothing, and if we were going to give them services out of tents, they would continue feeling, that horrendous experience which they've had, they wouldn't get out of it. In that little amount of money that we had, with the little amount of skills that we had, we needed to give them something stable. So therefore, we are very proud and happy that our health system in the Rohingya area is now supposed to be one of the best, and so is our schooling system, the education system that we've put up, and also the toilets. And so, it's all about feeling the need for ensuring that people are living with dignity, people are living with, that you're giving them respect. It's really, development work is so much about just that. And at the end of all this, we have the cultural preservation. Now, the cultural preservation, many people ask, why is Friendship doing cultural preservation? I mean, it's totally different. You are providing food and shelter, and then there's cultural preservation. How does that fit in? But one, it was something in Bangladesh which needed to be preserved. Second, all the people that we work with, which are the people of the water, the oldest craft in Bangladesh are the boats. It is made with their hands, and they were never even really exposed to what was quality or the fact that their boats are really valuable. I remember when we started making our big boat, which you will see maybe at one point, I think you've seen that with the big sails. I remember the carpenter coming and saying that, okay, Appa is sister, you don't have any money, so you have to make a wooden boat. When you have some money, then you'll make a steel barge. Okay, you know? So, but now today, you see, the boats that we are building, the boats that it is their craft. It is something which they create out of their own hands. And this skill and the fact that they're shaking, hands with ambassadors and traveling abroad with this exhibition of the boats, can you imagine what level of identity and dignity it brings to them? And this, I found, is extremely important for any development work. And that is why we integrated the boat preservation and the cultural preservation. I hope we can do other cultural preservation, but for now, the boats integrated into the development work. There's a short film, 3 minutes, on Nat Geo, which they showed on National Geography regarding the boats. Might be nice. It's this one.
Yeah. In Bangladesh, Runa Khan wanted to rescue a tradition disappearing from the nation's waterways.
Bangladesh is a country of rivers. In some way or the other, more than 60% of the people are in some way relying on the rivers.
In the Ganges-Brahmaputra delta, the quantity and variety of the boats of Bangladesh is second to none.
It is the largest fleet of inland boats in the world today.
Traditional wooden boats had been on the decline since a bad flood in 1988 resulted in a large number of Chinese diesel engines entering the country, primarily to help with irrigation. With these beautiful and ancient boats disappearing, the old skills of boat building were also at risk.
You try to find these carpenters anywhere else, they have forgotten already, because they have gone off into different trades, doing different work. It's a craft, an art dying right in front of your eyes.
By making scale models using the same techniques as the real boats, Runa found a fast and low-cost way to preserve techniques and designs. Runa's next step was to create a living museum where full-size boats were created using these same traditional methods.
You will see already the carpenters are getting trained, boats are being built, old boats are getting repaired, documentation is being done.
The museum aimed not only to maintain these traditions, but to empower the artisans who for generations have worked on perfecting their craft.
These people who needed dignity and identity are today taking hands with ambassadors and ministers, and they're so proud. And we are providing livelihoods for the carpenters and their families. And this is a very powerful tool for any development.
Runa has painstakingly documented the construction techniques for over 80 boats so far. She has since toured her models around the world and has elevated these once humble craft from near extinction to an internationally recognized treasure.
So so where is the link of the work of friendship? It's at the end of the day, it's important that you create things which are shown internationally, people are aware of it, but it's all about how it's sustained in the communities and how accepted it is amongst the people. And this is only done, it can only be continued and made sustainable if the work that you do is done with mutual respect. For us in friendship, if there is one thread which spreads across all the work that we do, it is respect and dignity and bringing hope to the lives of those that we touch. Each step that we have taken in friendship, be it refusing donors whose vision is not the same as ours, working at the very grassroots level, everyone in friendship has that sense of responsibility of how and why we are doing a particular program or not. And I'm proud today because I think you don't have to, if you come to Bangladesh, I don't have to show you one particular work of friendship. Anywhere you go, be it a carpenter, be it a boatsman in the remotest corner, 14 hours to journey there, that boatman will tell you that the vision of friendship is all about quality, empathy, sympathy, working, nurturing dignity and hope amongst the people. And at the end of the day, as I always keep saying, that the poor cannot afford poor solutions. We need to come to the poor. We need to, if you want to see a change happening into tomorrow's world, you need to work with so much keeping the soft skills in mind. You know, the SDG programs have got amazing work that needs to be done by the whole world. But nurturing human qualities, soft skills are not there. And without that, can you imagine healthcare becoming universal or education becoming universal? And I think that is the message which we in friendship try to give and to show and exemplify, that soft skills, human skills are at the base and ground of every work that we do. And for the future, for the coming years that we want to see, it's of course giving things of quality, hope, integrating with partners who are giving us substance which can bring things which fill in the gaps which we in Bangladesh are lacking. It's skills, it's ideas of how to make something even better than what we have, the skills that we have in Bangladesh. We need help, you know, we need help from everyone. And beyond that, we need recognition that Bangladesh is a country where there can be mutual give and take, like you've had this exhibition. And thank you very much for this, because this is one of the things that in friendship we try to do, because just giving is really not enough. It's a one-way traffic, you know. But when you are sharing and you're understanding that there are mutual things that we can share and do together, I think that is what gives it strength. And I hope that for the coming years, we have you with us. Bangladesh has all of you with us, and we can move towards development work which is strong, beautiful, hopeful, nurturing dignity and care. Thank you. Do we... If there are any questions, and I'll reply.
You were mentioning the fights with the architect.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, okay. So, my architect, which is Kashif, we work with no, because we really, I mean, I think it's a question of the stars. I'll tell you, today I wrote to my son saying that if you don't have your vision in the stars, how can you ever hope to touch one? And I think we both have that. Kashif has that and I have that. And this is what we strive towards. I have my foot totally stuck in the mud also. You know, it's not only the vision in the stars. And sometimes Kashif is an artist, so he comes up with something which is, maybe we can make that more stronger, or maybe we don't want so much rain coming in, you know. So this happened often, but I think he realized immediately. And a lot of things which we wouldn't even like, you know, the day he came up with the solution of not raising the building on a plinth, as is usually done in Bangladesh, but putting it on the ground and building the plinth around it, he was really nervous. He came to me and said, Runa, I have something, you better come. I said, why, what's happened now? He said, well, I think we need to really discuss this project because I need to make you understand. I saw it, I think, and I said, is it going to hold or not? He said, it's going to hold. I said, okay, we go ahead. So, you know, so I think it's a question of having courage and faith. Both are very needed when you're having a partnership. So, anything else? Time. Time is what? Oh, and time. Oh, God. Yes, Mark. Thank you so much. And time. It takes a lot of time to get something out of him. So I have fights with him every day about time. Every day. You know, it's a kind of a, in the morning, one call to Kashif. So that happens. Sorry, yeah.
I'm afraid I'm a bit insisting on the question of Andreas. We are really curious to see or to understand what architecture has been able to do for you.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious to know what architecture hasn't been able to do for you. For example, you mentioned identity, and it seems to be a key question also for you to create identity. Is architecture able to help create identity?
You know, in Bangladesh, I remember when we first, I'll give you an example. So we had this wooden boat, which people thought we were crazy because this, I'm sorry that this boat is not here, but it's really a very beautiful 90 feet with 200 wooden boat with a beautiful teak deck, 250 square meters of sail, and you know, it's really beautiful. And we made it without air conditioning, without, you know, any kind of what people would thought needed touch, but we made it totally raw, but of very high quality. And we found people responding in an incredible way, from rickshaw pullers to boatsmen to Ted Turner, who had come on the boat, you know? So it's like, so beauty is something which I think, if it's done in harmony, has a long-term impact. So the training center, when we did that, we needed to make it simple enough for the people to feel it's theirs. And you've seen the type of people. You know, they needed to feel it's theirs. If we had kind of glass and steel structures, they wouldn't. Or even something which is a bit different, they come in and they fall immediately into this environment that it's theirs. Now, I think this is where the link comes between development and architecture. If the architect can be made to understand deeply the requirement, the spirit of what the client wants, I think that's very important. And then if they can understand that, and this is perhaps the reason why maybe sometimes if you are happy with an architect, you don't want to switch too often because you understand the spirit of it. If I was making a shopping mall in Dhaka, I don't know, it's a you know, then you have to restart if Kashif understands that. Have I answered your question or I haven't? Please tell me. I mean, is there something?
Yes. No, it was more a question about, yes, maybe also, we are a lot of architects here, so we're a bit wondering what can we really do for you and what can't we maybe do for you? That's a bit the question. So have you been also maybe disappointed by architecture? Have you been surprised by architecture, or what's the key to it?
A disappointment, sometimes yes. Because sometimes architects get so involved in making something which is really nice that they forget the long-term impact. Like, you know, if I can't maintain something, it's not going to work. Because it's, you know, we have to forget about the building. Because we are not doing a museum where the building is part of the beauty or the aesthetic of the whole thing. We are doing work which is like a hospital or a school, or, you know, where the work itself is so strenuous and so difficult, you don't want to pay attention to the maintenance of the building. It must maintain itself, or the people who have built the building, very often we take them to maintain the building. You know, it must be of that simplicity. In the Friendship Center, the cleaners, if we had put in paint, it would not have worked because they wouldn't even see the difference between good paint and bad paint, you know, because the people maintaining it are people from the field. So I think we have to be very aware that the architects don't get caught in their own artistry when we are working with development work. Other things is different. Houses, homes, you know, those are different things. But in our work, I think it's very tough for the architect because he needs to really feel the essence. We need things which are beautiful because without that, there's no dignity in the people working inside. There's no self-respect, you know, if the building is bad, if it's badly maintained. So we need that simplicity of maintenance. So I would say that if any of you want to help? Yes. There are challenges of water. You know, like even in many cases, we have challenges with ensuring water supplies, challenges of ensuring the housing which doesn't get washed off, you know, or something which is like dismantleable easily. The whole concept of the problem you have to understand before you find the solution for us. So yes, we do need, you know, we would like to have more cooperation, and I think we can find ways, because there are, like for our water plants in the south, when we were making water plants, we knew that sometimes, you know, they're all in polder areas. So it would obviously get washed with the cyclone water. So we really had to put in ship windows and steel doors, you know, from ships, so that the water wouldn't get in. So, you know, challenges like that we're always facing, but yeah, and it was all architects' ideas, so yeah, we need.
Yes. Yeah, I'm curious about, you explained about this clinic you did in the refugee camp, where you were able to do it quite permanent. And I would like to know, how did you do to overcome the opposition of the government to build permanent construction?
Okay, they're all semi-permanent. We built it with tin. But no, I refused to have it in tents, because you know, in the beginning you needed to use tents, because it needed to be done overnight. So that was different. But as soon as it became like we had chances, we did it with semi-solid structures. The government in the beginning said no to semi-solid structures, but I think we got permission for one, and it was working so well, they gave us permission to do. I think now we have already 8 running, 6 more are under construction. We have a full maternity clinic and a comprehensive clinic, which is doing delivery and cesareans. So and we needed to also, I think we spoke a lot to the government, because I wanted something where the host would come in. And I felt that had a lot of dignity if the host's community was also coming to a clinic where the Rohingyas were also coming in. So they would never come to us, you know, a structure which was semi-permanent. So we also have the main clinic, which is the comprehensive clinic, in a house, rented house, on the main road between the 2 camps. And that, we totally changed the concept and made it in a house. I mean, I think it's the first one which is done like that. So it's because I wanted the host and the Rohingyas both to come and use the facilities. And somehow it worked. The idea worked. So it's happening.
I have a question regarding your area of work. You've consciously chosen the rural areas. Yeah. Do you ever still thought of engaging in urban areas, or in more, let's say, difficult, like socially more complex contexts, or it just was like?
Well, socially, you know, in urban areas, you have thousands of NGOs working. Bangladesh is a country which had, like 2 years ago, 49,000 NGOs. And they were all, believe me, in areas which were accessible. Even the inaccessible ones were accessible. And nobody, I remember taking a project for innovation, you know, and they said it was too innovative because you can't go there. So it was, I needed to go there because that's where the need was. There are millions of people. And I had no interest in being, you know, somebody else could do it, please do it. But these were areas nobody else was touching, because the design of the project needed a lot of innovation. And I think later, as I started doing it, I found that piloting a model in the worst area possible, you have to have it perfect. You know, it's never perfect, but you have to strive for perfection. Then you can take it out and you can replicate. The Rohingya, whatever you've seen, there's 3 months' work of friendship. It's only 3 months' work that we've done. So we were never in the Rohingya area. We started in October, November, December, January, February, March, now it's 5 months. You know, we started 5th of October, we started building bridges, you know, and then, so this is 5 months of work. And it's a question of just being able to, you know, do the replicate models which are in such difficult areas in the chores, it's easier. And that's where no one else goes. So, you know, if somebody else is doing and is capable of doing and working. Whereas, it's, I find that somebody else can do it, so I'm not needed. It's better I go to places where I'm needed because, that's where nobody else wants to go. In the chores, 30, 40 years before, since independence, no one had built a healthcare. No one had built a school. Nobody had touched these people. And now millions of people, 4.2 million a year we are serving. And they have really, really come up in a level where they go and argue with the government people, and they, they are becoming part of the mainstream now. So I think that's extremely important.
Maybe just to add your question about urban and rural interventions.
Yeah.
It has been said that still 75% of the population in Bangladesh lives in the rural area. So the main action must be there because the city is the exception and not the countryside.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, absolutely. And we actually try to keep people in the villages rather than sending them to the main, to the towns where it's really, it's cracking up. So.
Runa, can you talk about a little bit this one fact that was mentioned in the film, that in the next 2 decades, 10 million people will be climate displaced in Bangladesh?
Yeah.
What is the country's long-term strategy to deal with this? And what are, let's say, international sort of initiatives? Because it seems to be too big a challenge for one country to deal with.
I think, well, very honestly, one of the things that the Bangladesh government keeps saying is these new areas are coming up in the Bay of Bengal. So people can migrate, shift, but really, no. Very honestly, I think Bangladesh is really going to be in a big chaos because it's 10 million people in 20 years. In 2050, they have said it's 35 million who will need to migrate because areas are going to be underwater. And we are, of course, the government is wanting not only funding, but only funding is not going to help because I don't think that there is a long-term strategy which is sound. So I think we just need to ask help from the international community to see what we can do and be a big voice in the climate change in the climate change scenario. We really can. We do adaptation because for me, Bangladesh actually and for Bangladesh, they know that the contribution of Bangladesh towards climate change is minimal, okay? 1 million solar lamp is like 1 day of electricity of someone in Europe. So, the balance, our industries are not like China. They are like tiny industries. Of course, every individual needs to be conscious and needs to ensure that they don't leave a footprint, which is negative. Of course, that goes without saying. But the fact that Bangladesh can deal with it, they can't. And like I say for the Rohingyas, it's the world's problem because we just can't cope with something of this size, and we will not be able to. We'll just migrate. I mean, there's nothing else to do. Where will you live? And you have to equip, and what we do is equip the people as best as we can because we are working in all the climate impacted areas, the coastal belt and all the rivers. So we can just, through training, understanding, where to go, how to save, what to do, it's our little contribution. But very honestly, Bangladesh does not have a long-term plan for this. I think it's way beyond them. Officially, the story is that there are more islands coming on and people will migrate. That is the official Bangladesh, what they're saying.
Islands created in the ocean?
Yeah, not created, they are coming up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There are a lot of, it says nearly double the size of Bangladesh. So they think that people can migrate but okay, that's going to be underwater also. So really Bangladesh does not have a long-term strategy. And this is one of the difficulties why even if we get green funds, it's not, we don't know how to use it as yet. So.
how do you get the people to work in these remote areas? How do you recruit your workers, and like doctors and all the skilled people?
It's a very important question, because it's really, I mean, all the questions are important, but this is everyday work. It's a constant challenge. We had to kind of change the way we work, or normally people work or organizations work. So we recruit a lot of people and train them from the community. That is, I think, one of our biggest skills. Second, I think the way friendship works, we have skilled HR is a challenge in Bangladesh in general. But we kind of centrally control. So we have a lot of people in Dhaka, and in the remote areas, we have about 23 offices and the ships. We get people who are more for their quality of persons. I know it sounds, one would say, of course, naturally, but it's not true. Very often you recruit people on skills. But for these areas, we have to recruit people who have some skills, but beyond skills, people who have got a dedication, who've got commitments, and we really recruit people on those bases. And because of that, what happens, certainly skills need to be developed, and we have a lot of internal training. Our HR department, for example, has got like 5 or 6 people in it, or 7 people, and they are in the field all the time, training the people on the field, from MIS training to technical training to even doctor skills training. Like, for example, on the ships, we have 1 MBBS doctor. We've changed the model. We have 1 MBBS doctor, and we have technicians and paramedics. But these technicians and paramedics are trained to a level not only by local people, but by international doctors, to a level where people don't even understand they're not doctors. So they can do up to X amount of work. And then if it's needed, we have medical camps. We have more than between 100 to 150 international medical people coming, and national and international medical people coming every year to the friendship hospitals, which then does what these untrained people can't do. So we blended HR in quite an innovative way. And again, the schools, for example, our satellite schools, our secondary schools, no way we could find teachers who could, go to these islands. And in the islands, you can barely find a person who has done grade 8. So what did we do? We thought for years, actually. And certainly the mobile network connection was not strong enough to have online classes or anything like that. So what we did was, we recruited some of the best teachers in Dhaka. There was a selection somewhere, and we took the people from there. And we have a professional studio. We do recording of each class, science, physics, chemistry, English. We do the recording by these teachers, and then we have put up solar panels, monitors with a facilitator who is below high school, doing in these 7 schools. And 3 years I didn't speak about it because I thought, oh my God, are they going to fail or pass? And last year, the first group came out of these schools, no teachers, okay, just by looking at the videos. And we had 1 B and all A's in the national examination. You see, it's just a question of, you can't understand the importance of selecting people of character, dedication, loyalty, hard work. We don't give enough merit to it when we are selecting people. And in our field, there's no way I could have done without that. I could have had the best skilled doctor, I could have had the best skilled teacher, they would last 3 days in that area. So we just had to rechange the model and rethink the model of how to. And people that we recruited in day 1, I think 1 person has died the first year, they're still there. So something is happening. We have cleaners who are today managers in the organization. Our students, after they pass their school, we have recruited them into the head office and in the field. So now we are going to open a social enterprise for doing something with a French cook and entrepreneur. He's got like 30 hotels, restaurants. And we are taking our students. We'll make them, because they have this, they're taught about dignity, they're taught about ethics, they're taught about values. So all the students, our students, are getting recruited for this project. So we do a lot of, we put a lot of value on human qualities. Skills, you can train people up to certain level, and then you reach certain level. You're here, you can reach there. I mean, not from here to there, but dedication, commitment, I think, is something which we need to put more value. Anything else?
Okay, I think everybody
said it all.
really, really impressed.
Thank you.
For this wonderful talk.
Thank you. Have I missed something? Have I missed something? Have I missed